Hello, nerds. It's recording day, but I don't really feel like playing anything today. So we're doing this instead. We are going to talk about future Dead by Daylight stuff and their recent FAQ. I don't put a lot of weight in behavior FAQs because they tend to say a lot of, we are aware of the issue and are looking into a fix, but have no concrete details as of this time. I've straight up got something recorded for that response, which I'm sure I will be using a lot. But for now, let's talk about this. So these are upcoming live updates that are from January to June. So, first off, we got the FOV slider. This is something that should have been done sooner. This is not something that should have taken years to do. I'm happy it's finally happening. But yeah, the FOV slider, some people literally cannot play the game without feeling gross. So, that's good. That's a good thing to be happening right now. The solution for 3 gen. I don't believe them. I don't believe that the 3 gen thing is going to be a thing that will be fixed for a long time. If it even has a fix. Killer updates. We have the Onryo. Sadako is in a really fucking weird spot. She's either way too strong or way too weak, and there is just like nothing in between. The Hillbilly, I can't wait to see what new nerfs they have for him. I'm hoping that they listen to the community. Hillbilly was just fine before they decided to nerf him. And now it's not even worth playing him. Fucking, I just had a Hillbilly round earlier today. It was the only round I really had fun. Blight add-ons, good. About fucking time. Save the best for last. People complain about save for the best for last a lot. I don't understand them because it's just... I guess it's a solo queue killer, which... Yeah. That's like all the perks, but... Save the best for last... I don't think needs a nerf. With the exception of people camping hook. With people proxy camping a hook, there is no way that you will be able to get somebody out of there if the killer is camping with save the best for last. It needs to just not work within a certain distance of the hook. I would say farther than what the current anti-camping thing is. Grim Embrace? What the fuck is that? To the artist. Oh, Grim Embrace. I'll say I might as well explain the perks for anybody who doesn't know. Save the best for last gives you a token which increases your attack speed up to a maximum of 8. However, if you hit your obsession, then you lose 2 tokens. And it's usually well balanced, but there are very specific killers, specifically Demogorgon, Nemesis, harder to use with it, Mastermind, the Pig, which the good guy, which can also get around it. But yeah, its big problem is people can camp the hook very easily with it. Grim Embrace. Each time a survivor is hooked for the first time, Grim Embrace gains a token. Upon reaching 4 tokens, every generator is blocked for 40 seconds, and the obsession is revealed for 6 seconds. It's just not very useful. So I'm hoping that's going to be a buff. Quick Gambit. Vittorio. increases the repair speed of all survivors by 8% while you are being chased within 24 meters of the generator they are currently repairing. Again, nobody uses it. It's not good, because if you're being chased near a generator that's being worked on, nothing is stopping the killer from just stopping and checking on the noises from those generators. 24 meters is pretty far, but it's still not very useful. Shadowborn. Shadowborn increases your FOV. This is an obvious one with the FOV slider. That's going to do something else now. Monitor and abuse. When you are not in chase, your terror radius decreases by 8. When you are in chase, your terror radius increases by 8. It's useful on Myers, and that's about it. From March to April, Mangled is going to be changed. I don't know what Mangled needs. Again, I'll read it out for people who don't know. Survivors suffering from Mangled take 25% longer to heal a health state. So, I don't understand why that's being changed. Maybe I do understand, but the problem comes from both Hemorrhage and Mangled working together. Those two are just way too strong. Killer tweaks. I presume that this is not like an overhaul of the killers. The Hag. We don't need more of the Hag. The Hag is not fun. The Pig. So they're gonna nerf the Pig again, naturally. Everybody's been complaining about the nurse. In response to this, we have nerfed the Pig. The Huntress. I don't know why the Huntress needs to change at all. She's fine. A Huntress is fine. Maybe some things that make playing on indoor maps or the fucking Tobias's Landing, was it? The alien map with the shitload of crap everywhere. Maybe add-ons that make those more tolerable or something, but I can't think of anything that the Huntress needs. Demogorgon. Why Demogorgon? Why the most balanced killer in the game? Arguably. We also have Wesker. The Clown. The Clown could use some buffs. And the Doctor. I don't know how to feel about the Doctor. I do like playing the Doctor because preventing survivors from using pallets or vaulting does get the dopamine going. Perk update, Sloppy Butcher. Again, it's the Mangled and Hemorrhage, and the problem with Sloppy Butcher is that it's way too strong right now, but if they change it, if they only have one or the other, then I'm worried that it's going to be far too weak. April to June, Killer update, the Twins. See, I'm really worried about that because the Twins are kind of not fun to play against either. They're also not fun to play as, so nobody plays the Twins, so I'm not even that mad when I do go against the Twins. It's like I'm finding a unicorn out in the wild. Ultimate Weapon. I don't know what that one does. Oh, Xenomorph. Xenomorph perk. Xenomorph. When you open a locker, Ultimate Weapon activates for 30 seconds. Survivors in your terror radius scream and reveal their location. Those survivors suffer blindness for 30 seconds. Blindness. Very good. Blindness for 30 seconds. Yeah, that's... This perk alone has made Calm Spirit pop up a lot more, so playing Doctor is not nearly as fun. Decisive Strike, put it back to where it was pre-nerf. Decisive Strike is fucking worthless now. Before it was just an excellent anti-tunneling perk. And now it's worthless. Like, there are times when it can be useful, but they're very few and far between, and even then, against certain killers, it does nothing. Anywho, now we got the FAQ. Dead by Daylight, Ask Me Anything event. All questions and answers. Will we see the return of some old Rift skins that still did not appear in the shop after so much time? Yes, of course they are. Of course they're gonna fucking do that. They need to make their money somehow. We plan to reintroduce most Rift cosmetics back into the store with a focus on unique outfits. For color variations, we are investigating methods that won't clog up the store. What does that mean? Won't clog up the store? Store's already clogged to shit, mate. Deep Rift versions will only be available in the Rift. Well, that's upsetting. FOMO! Will we see Hooked on You Part 2? Maybe called Hooked on You 2? Also, blue and white bikini, Hoi Huntress skin win. Thanks for your interest in another Hooked on You title, and for the great title idea. We have no news to share at this time, but we always love seeing... The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. For the FOV slider, Shadowborn's extra FOV makes the angle of flashlight blinds easier for survivors. Will that be fixed with the slider? For right now, this is not going to change, so if you use a higher FOV so you don't feel like vomiting, go fuck yourself. It is something we will continue to monitor with the use of the slider. Initially, the slider will go into the beta tab for us to fully test the feature on the live build. Fair enough. There is no reason that it should be tied to the FOV. There is no reason. Because then you're going to have people who are fucking blinding from immediately below the killer. Which is already frustrating when the people are on a different floor. But then, now they're not going to need to, so... Would you guys still consider going back to the old chapters that didn't get a map and gifting them their very own map? Especially since some of them could fit into the newly established realms. I'm going to have a fucking aneurysm from these typos. Absolutely. Maps are tricky, and there's only so much we can do in a year, and for a lot of other reasons. That said, most chapters are built with areas or worlds in mind even when we do not make them, so we never know, they might be created in the future. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Are there any plans to add player icons, banners for older DLCs? I would love a Saw or Ghostface theme. Even icons for unlicensed killers or survivors would be very welcome. Not impossible! I would fucking hope so! What is it, like 20 seconds in Photoshop? Come on! I don't... Why is the answer not impossible? It should just be a straight up yes. Not obviously, because that would just be insulting. But it should just be yes, of course. It's like, we hope to add more player cards for sure. I would fucking hope so. Fucking, you released it with a Chucky button and a Chucky theme. That's it. Also, on that note, I never got my Chucky button or my Chucky theme, despite buying Chucky. Fuck off. Is the FOV slider just for killers? Are survivors getting an FOV slider too? The FOV slider is designed to affect first person only. Survivors and Chucky are in third person, so the FOV slider will not increase their FOV. There's no reason to. Michaela Raid is the only original character in the game to not have any country or location of origin. Would you be able to say where? No, who cares? Who cares? Who the hell cares? American origin has yet to be revealed. Who the fuck cares? Any plans to add a crosshair option? Now, since original survivors will be 50% cheaper in shards, will the outfits be cheaper too? Feels kind of weird to pay $4,500 for a character and $7,200 for a cosmetic piece, and $21,000/$29,000 for full ones. The Blood Weeb system won't be changed anymore since we got a new roadmap. No plans. I assume you're referring to ranged killers like Huntress or Deathslinger. in which case the choice was intentional not to have them. We want to avoid gaminess as much as possible, which meant leaning on physical objects and reactions in game for feedback. What does this mean? What does this mean? What is that sentence? We also designed ranged killers to work without a reticule. I don't feel that a reticule is necessary. You just learn and eventually get used to it. It also adds a little bit of a skill needed for ranged killers, which is fine. Survivors are usually large enough that you don't need to worry about it. I heard you can put a crosshair overlay on your screen if you want to. So yeah, even if you want, you go for it. The number of people I've heard say that that's cheating is fucking ridiculous. Hey, just tape a Cheerio on the center of your computer monitor. It's that easy. Hey BHVR, thanks for doing this again. Love your attention to the community. I have a quick question. Have you ever thought about implementing an option to gift skins to friends like in Fortnite? I don't care, but I'd love to give some skins to some in my friend list and receive them. Why not, huh? Also, would you kindly make a Bioshock chapter pretty, please? Love y'all! Yes, we have. There are a lot of complications to gifting that need to be addressed before such a feature can be done, though, such as regional pricing, fraud prevention, friend spam. It's not off the... The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Also, notice that they never answered this. What's this about a Bioshock chapter? Showing concept art of new content and behind the scene is very cool. Tradition? Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this. But can you show something from the period when this tradition did not yet exist? What about Kate Denson's default? I don't see why not. Thanks for the interest. I'm sure someone on the team will take note of this and jump on the occasion. Wow, what a very informative question. What a good question to ask on this. To ask about this. Man, I feel like I know so much more of the game because this person asked this question. Thanks to the dev team for making this Q&A possible. When the first Sadako rework hit the live servers, a lot of Onryo mains were very vocally upset about the huge change in how our power works, requiring players to shift to fundamentally different playstyles and creating a more confusing experience for survivors. Okay, I don't think so. Is the upcoming Sadako rework aiming to make her more similar to the original version of the character, or is it going to be just a couple of tweaks on a current iteration, or will it be an attempt at fusing these two versions? I'm just going to say right now, the current Onryo is... Sadako right now is so much better than she used to be. She's still definitely mostly a newbie killer, and it's still very easy to beat her, but I feel like she's significantly better than she was on both sides now than she was when she was just a tunneling machine. We have definitely heard the cries of anguish from our Onryo fans. Our initial reaction was to make Condemn more relevant, but we've reassessed, and yes, we are hoping to restore much of what players loved about the old kit while still enhancing it in some important ways. We sincerely hope her latest kit will resonate with killers and survivors alike. You said for 2023 you want to do a sci-fi theme for horror. Are there any other themes you want to... Man, that sure is a very nice flavor of cookie that you put out. Have you thought of putting out other flavors of cookie? Holy shit. Now that we have bots taking over human players after they disconnect, can we get a reconnect feature for human players? It made sense that players couldn't reconnect because the character just disappeared, but it would be nice to be able to reconnect now and replace the bot. It would help a lot for people whose internet connection just drops for a second or crashes. That would be great. That would be genuinely great. However, as somebody who is not a game programmer, I can only imagine that that is a bitch to do. I can only imagine that that's not easy to implement. It's not on our roadmap to do this at the moment, but it's a topic we can bring back to the team to discuss the feasibility on. No promises, but we'll certainly evaluate this and, The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. For the Twins rework, what does adjust the slugging meta mean? First off, definition. Slugging equals downing survivors without picking them up and hooking them, leaving them on the ground and rushing off to down more survivors. We notice for many players, the optimal way to play with the current Twins is to slug survivors heavily with Victor. I mean, Victor can't do a whole lot else. This isn't a very fun play style for survivors because you end up spending a lot of time on the ground being unable to do anything. So, the Twins update will change the kit to encourage other kinds of play styles more. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. Any chance of getting more controller settings, like those in Meet Your Maker? No news to share for now, but we have been investigating a couple of enhancement related. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Does the upcoming tweak for Huntress slated for April have anything to do with how she is the most map-dependent killer in the game? Debatable, but yeah, I can see that. We have 7 indoor maps that makes her power much more difficult to use. This tweak will unfortunately not affect her map dependency directly. It's a complex challenge to solve and will need a larger update. For now, we are focused on making her more enjoyable to play across the board. We hear your concern and are constantly trying to update our maps to accommodate all killers and playstyles better. That's why we released a map that has a shit ton of trees everywhere. Our anniversary chapter is now only going to be original, or will they sometimes be licensed and sometimes original? Our only rules is that there are no rules and we don't talk about clubs. Hold on.
My fault.
It's so random. Can you share any kind of teaser for the survivor that will join the fog in the next mid-chapter update? No! Thank you for just getting straight to the point. With the old characters going 50% off permanently, does that mean they will be a further 50% off from their new current price during events, for example, a character being 2250 shards? Yes, that's possible. 4,500 shards is their new base price. Again, quick and to the point. Do you plan for survivors to be able to inspect other survivors' builds before the game starts, just to make people with less than 4 players coordinate more efficiently? This is something we've thought about, but we are currently restricted due to flexibility in the lobby screens. We are updating these old screens gradually, and you should see some improvement over the next years. Over the next years? What? Just slap it on the loading screen. Just slap it on the loading screen. That's all you need. Listen, this community is toxic as shit. And if you told me that people will just constantly quit games because people are not using the right perks, I would believe you 100%. Put it on the loading screen. They can't bitch, and they will be punished for ruining other people's games. Any plans to make Buckle Up not work for the people? Oh, I can tell you this is on our radar, haha. We actually just talked about this in our live design meeting yesterday. I can't tell you what our plans are as of now, but know that we're thinking about... The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Are we able to receive any hints on what the solution for 3-genning might be? Hint, PTB goes out in January! In all seriousness, what I can say is we have tried very hard to solve the problem without interfering with normal games. Wait, one more hint, we think you'll get a kick out of it. Are they going to make it so you can only kick so many times? Or, like, have a cooldown on kicking? I don't think that's going to solve shit. Assuming that is it, I don't think that's going to solve shit. The killer being unable to kick a generator for a short amount of time after kicking it already I don't see that solving anything. The killer is just going to stay in the area, and now the generators simply don't regress for a short time. This isn't even getting into perks that are specifically designed to reduce them. Is it possible that at some point we can change the appearance of the lobby, depending on the skin, for example, or freely? That'd be fun! Which past lobby is your favorite? Thanks, Dave! Have you considered adding some rewards on the free track on the Rift of tiers 70 to 85? We are constantly brainstorming ideas for more rewards in the Rift. Not just past T70, but across the board to make it more interesting to work through. Okay. It's always nice to have more free stuff. Have you guys considered a shark or dinosaur type killer in the game at all? Licensed or not, I'm just wondering if the thought process ever treaded those waters. I want to play as a motherfucking T-Rex. Ah, I see what you did there. Because it's in italic. We've treaded water, fire, earth, wind, metal, cosmos, spaghetti, and more. Many more surprises are coming from this team's beautiful minds. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Why can't we combo pieces in the store so we can check which pieces we'd like to buy before we actually do? We used to be able to do that, but it got patched. It'd be nice to have it back. We plan on remaking it in the future. It's still under development. Would you consider additional rewards for the daily rituals? We hope to rework the entire daily ritual system, and that would involve improved presentation and reward visualization. What about additional rewards? You didn't answer the question, Rose. You didn't answer the question. Will there be additional rewards? Yes or no? It's not hard! Any news on the Iron Maiden collection? What month are they coming out? Will the Eddies get their own Moris? I am hoping for the first album, Eddie. I can't wait to main him. Iron Maiden is going to get you no matter how far. Although the Iron Maiden outfits will not be visceral with unique Moris, we think you'll be nicely surprised about what we have in store. Look for the collection dropping in the first half of 2024. You guys claimed that last Ask Me Anything that a dislike of FOMO is why you didn't have Prestige Awards past 9. But that doesn't make sense for two reasons. People are free to Prestige on their own time, it's not like their levels are going anywhere. And you already have actual limited time content in the game twice a year, with the Halloween and winter events, to the point where cosmetics that have been accessible at any time for years are now locked behind a window of a few weeks. Why claim FOMO is the reason why you're hesitant to add rewards for dedicated players when there's substantial amounts of limited content already in the game? Question Asker makes a good point. Several good points. Prestige and limited time content are significantly different for us in the sense Prestige options should always be there for all players, while limited content is almost always linked to seasonal events. Anniversary, Halloween, Bone Chill, which ties back to us not wanting to clog up the inventory. Store view for players when the relative season is not active. What about the Prestige Awards? I don't fucking... Do you plan on adding more realms? For the characters that currently have no personal realms especially. Trickster deserves a cool neon-y scene map, or our new good guy would be better in a factory. Or the Survivor special maps could be nice, like Nick's movie filming stage. Similar to another question I answered earlier, so please allow me to copy-paste. Maps are tricky and there's only so much we can do in a year. Realms are built with procedural and reuse in mind, and it is possible to re-explore these realms with new locations in the future. This is not a promise. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Will this map ever make a return? It was playable in the beta, but is completely removed. Nice to see somebody remembers the village. No plans I can share at this time. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Any plans for endgame statistics to see how much somebody was chased, or doing gens, or breaking totems, just like in the mobile game. The emblem system gives some information around these things currently. We don't have any plans to expand that at the moment. It's gonna be another thing that people use to yell at each other for. Are the levels of injured sounds and panting survivors emit gonna be normalized soon? Different characters currently get vastly different outcomes on mind games depending on who they are because of audio, ultimately punishing players towards certain few characters. We are aware of this concern. We've investigated this recently and discovered it isn't quite as straightforward as we hoped. But putting out an attack... What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? It is very straightforward. You put the damn audio files into an audio editor, a good audio editor, and you compare the wavelengths, and you increase or decrease the noise as necessary. I do it all the fucking time editing my videos, especially when I'm shouting. It's not that hard. Use DaVinci. That works. No, you can't really do audio with DaVinci, I suppose. It's gotta be a full video. Still. It's not that hard. This is why I don't vote for DBD for Labor of Love. With the recent changes to Trickster, especially the newly released buff, is there any plan on improving the Deathslinger experience? We don't have solid plans for a major update for the Deathslinger as of now. However, we are aware of how the made for this update has affected the killer, so we're keeping an eye on him. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. When can we get an announcement regarding Hidden Prestige? You guys did a Hidden Prestige test 4 months ago, and there haven't been any updates. Constant lobby dodging, inaccurate matchmaking, in-game harassment are still major issues most have to deal with. Just because of their prestige level and hiding them would be an easy yet effective change that can help to combat these problems. I thought that was a bug. There was a point where you could not see the prestige levels of survivors, and I thought that it was a very good change, and then you could see them again, and I thought it was just a bug. I thought it was a bug that didn't affect gameplay, so they just took a bit of time to... I didn't know they were testing that. We received positive feedback and results on this pilot experiment, and are making plans to conduct a larger user research. No public announcement for now, but it's in the works! The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. What's the status of depipping? Since grades are not affecting matchmaking anymore, they seem outdated and more punishing than they should. Is there a possibility of removing them? This has been extensively discussed within the team. We are looking into it and... The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. When can we know something new about the casting of Frank Stone? Will characters be added to the game? We're not able to give more information. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. What's the latest news on cheating? I experienced 6 cheaters in the last 4 days, and it's really annoying. So I just want to throw this out there. I don't think they're lying. I think they believe that they ran into 6 cheaters in the last 4 days. And I'm going to explain myself on this one. There are so many things that give endurance, that give speed boosts, and all that stuff, that it can be hard to keep track of what is legal and what is not. I remember putting something up on the Dead by Daylight Reddit when I could still do that, asking if a survivor was constantly picking themselves up because they brought they brought the perk where if you're cursed, you can pick yourself up from dying. And I was asking if they were cheating, and alongside the people that called me a fucking idiot, there were people that nicely pointed out that they also had Unbreakable, which apparently was not used up anytime they got themselves up, which I think is kind of bullshit on its own, but that's neither here nor there. If the game is literally programmed to work like that, there's nothing you can do. But things like that just seems like it's cheating, so I believe that this person thinks that they saw 6 cheaters in 4 days. But I don't think I don't remember the last time I ran into a cheater. Cheating is a constant war. We're always updating our own tools to combat the situation. The cheaters then upgrade theirs. It's a cycle. You can, of course, report these players, then our team of player support agents is able to take action against specific individuals. I'm not going to play the clip this time because they have to be as vague as possible about cheaters. Because if they say, oh, well, the people are cheating because of this, well, then now everybody knows about it and people are going to do it. And trust me, I know the people in this community. That fucking flashlight bug where you can just sit inside of a locker, invincible and with the killer unable to do anything. Unless they're like Pyramid Head or something. Yeah, people started abusing that again. So, yeah, they can't talk about it much. Will we see statistics for kill rates and escape rates divided by killer, SWF, solo, duel, and MMR for the past year? We all love the data! Statistics are something the community team wants to regularly communicate about with the community. We've started over the past few months with perk usage, and yes, we're looking to do more over the course of the coming few months. Whether it's entire chapters or individual things like specific perks or survivors or killers being added. What has been the most fun to have worked on and bring to the DBD universe thus far? What a good question. What a great question that asks about the game and asks about important information about it and helps the community team communicate with us in ways that basically amount to... The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. What a great question. For me, it's Reddit AMAs. I believe you. God, you must be a fucking masochist. Have you guys ever considered implementing a match replay system where players can review their previous matches from all players' point of view? It would be useful to review our gameplay to help us better ourselves as players, as well as help us better identify cheaters post-game so we don't wave false reports around. This is something we'd love to have ourselves, however, this would represent an important technical challenge to do, and it's not something that's planned. For now... You can hear me reaching to press the button, but you know what? I'm not going to push it. Because doing a replay is not just recording the game and playing it back. It's basically having 5 dummy players who are given a string of commands to follow, and the AI follows those commands. And so it's a very complicated thing. With the addition of the casting of Frank Stone and the upcoming movie, will we have more focus and lore-based content that is not only through archives in the future? I would love to make more connections to the DBD universe and the cosmology because the lore is so powerful and breathtaking. Thank you so much for everything you've been doing, and I cannot wait to see more of the universe of the entity. Hey guys, how do you tell me that you've never read a book without telling me you've never read a book? Thank you for playing and for your interest in our universe. It gives us dark energy. I sadly cannot disclose any of our future endeavors. Nevertheless, what is already announced is pretty clear. We want to give out more of the DBD universe. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Will we be able to sell unwanted offerings and add-ons back to the entity for blood points? Not planned at the moment, but that's an interesting idea. I would love to get rid of every single fucking liquor tongue that my nemesis has. Though I suppose my one question is if we will ever see Trapper's base Mori updated. Trapper, Wraith, and Hillbilly have very outdated Moris compared to the rest of the cast. I was wondering if we will see them updated in any fashion. This is something we are looking into for sure, though is not our top priority at the moment. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. One of the biggest parts of the game is the music. So many killers get a lot of personality and horror added to them by the music. Some killers, though, share the same generic music, and it makes me so sad. Is there any plan for giving either new music to generic music killers or keeping the base music and adding an extra layer for each killer similar to the Legion's mixtapes? DBD is an evolutive game, ever-changing and getting updates here and there. All of our monsters are equal in our hearts and deserve the same attention. If your favorite killer doesn't have a feature yet, it may come in the future, don't lose hope. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. I'll just give my personal opinion on this before we move on. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. They've already added music for Ghostface, Legion, Hillbilly. Hillbilly had his ever since I started playing this game, but I presume he originally had generic music. Ghostface, Legion, Nurse. There's no reason for them not to add more to the others. The music is freaking amazing. Can we get a jukebox so we can listen to the chase music and themes, both current and past, on loop? If we want to get greedy, unused tracks too, like the Trickster's TPB theme. It slaps so much. YouTube is filled with videos of the music in the game with hundreds of thousands of views. Being able to listen to it all in the game would be fantastic. We have no plans to put out a jukebox, no. It sounded like a cry for help. If you want to hear more of Dead by Daylight music, do not hesitate to check out Michelle F. April on YouTube. The third volume of the DBD OST just came out on Spotify last month. So, the answer is no. Can we hope on Sadako skin for mobile? We are trying to get the rights and to have it ported to core. Keep hoping. So that's not, we're aware of the issue and we're trying to fix it, but we can't give you details. That is, we want to have this. We are doing our best. Please hope with us that it will happen. So I'm not going to play it that time. Do you plan on implementing random perk challenges as a permanent feature? It has a lot of fans. Not knowing what perks you have until the match starts is fun, and it opens you to the perk combos you previously sidelined. It's a shame that you have to die or otherwise fail the challenge in order to play it again. This on its own can be a new game mode. Just like casual and competitive. Competitive can just be the game that it is now, and casual is just you get 4 random perks. Maybe be able to choose from a perk. From like one of 3 perks. And like maybe something for killers, just for character selection too. So that if you get Twins, Hillbilly, and Skull Merchant, you can say no and get 3 completely different characters to choose from. I think that would be good. I think that would be fun and nice. And of course, they would probably be limited by what you have unlocked so far. So you could potentially game the system by never purchasing certain things, but yeah. We are super pumped that the random perk challenge has been well received. I can't draw back the red curtain on future modes or anything. The fact that people really like random perks. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Are there any plans to offer BP incentives for individual killers based on how many people are currently playing them? This would help give survivors more variety in the killers they go against. Please no. Please do not encourage people to play the fucking Skull Merchant. Thank you. In fact, let me check something. Who is, according to Nightlight, the least played killer in the game? Twins. Hag. Nightmare. Please no. Artist. Interesting. Singularity. Makes sense. Hillbilly. My beloved. Cenobite. In that order, those are from least to most of the bottom 7. I do not need to play against the Twins. I do not need to play against Hag. Nightmare is boring. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Freddy. You're just boring. This is something we've seen requested by the community. We don't currently have a plan in place for this, but it's not outside of the realms of possibility. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Every killer and survivor is bound to have their ups and downs. When you notice, for example, a killer becomes a thing of frustration, is it easier to look at the add-ons or the base kit when initializing a balance? Easier? That depends on the complexity of the base kit and add-ons. When we look at updating a killer, we try to address frustrations or problems directly. Sometimes it ties more to add-ons, sometimes the base kit, sometimes both. Nothing personnel, kid. It is currently possible for players to body block other players in certain parts of the match for indefinite periods of time, due to the fact that players maintain permanent collision unless a survivor is damaged. As such, it is very easy for players to hold the game hostage or guarantee a kill on a survivor who is trapped via body blocking. A common suggestion to alleviate this problem is to grant survivors with AFK crows no collision so that they may only be held in place for a maximum of 60 seconds, ensuring that killers can still capitalize off of the trapped survivor's mistake without abusing permanent collision. This is a great idea, actually. Implement it now. If somebody has multiple crows over them, it means they are standing still and doing literally nothing, which means either they are AFK or they are being forced to stay in one spot. Either way, this is only a positive. Are there any plans to implement a mechanic like this to prevent hostage holding in a match? I assume you are referring to body blocking here. No, I think they're referring to hatchets. I think they're referring to when the Huntress throws a hatchet right at your monitor, and the hatchet flies out and hits you square in the face, killing you dead. What the fuck do you think? It's not something we're actively working on, no, but I understand it has been under discussion before. Of all the things to not just be, we could be or could not be. Of all the things to not give that answer. The one where people who don't have, who are literally unable to do something. Oh my fucking god. Why? Why would you not just put that in the game? Any plans for survivors losing collision when they have multiple crows? No. Eat shit and die. In Minecraft. Although the gap between SWF and solo survivors has been reduced quite significantly since the addition of the Survivor Activity HUD in 6.5.0, there is still a notable power imbalance. I believe this is caused particularly because, 1, the lack of shown progress for non-repairing and non-recovery actions in the Activity HUD. I will disagree with that bit, but only because non-generator repair is not very long. Literally everything else takes a dozen seconds at most. And the lack of information about ally perks and items. I could agree with that. Are there plans to further bridge the SWF solo survivor gap by providing solo players with more information about their allies? We always monitor the difference between survivor groups, and our current stance is that the lack of information is not the crux of the problem, but rather that friends work together by nature and solo survivors don't as much. I don't believe that. As toxic as people in this game can be, I find that even in solo queue, people are willing to help their survivors more than not in situations where it can potentially get them killed. I don't believe this answer is even remotely correct. So it's just No, we're not going to give you more information. Eat a dick. This year, there was a lot of game-breaking bugs. Flashlight got kill-switched twice in a few months. A lot of invisible killers and female vault bugs, too. Any plans to do a health update? I will take a future with less chapters but a more stable game. You know, I agree with that, and I understand it. But the thing is that no matter what they put into the game, it's just going to break again. We try to constantly improve the state of the game, but it's unfortunate that some issues refuse to stop coming back. Each release is aimed to be stable, and we will continue to do our best to hit that goal. There are no concrete plans for an update. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Are there any plans to update custom lobbies, add more spectator slots, give a free cam, maybe provide map seeds? This would greatly enable content creators to make better content. I've said before, maybe not on a video, Dead by Daylight cannot work as a tournament. However, if you can provide a seed for a map, that would make it significantly more reasonable to do like tournaments. This has been considered by the team more specifically for tournament reasons, but they're not going to be arriving in the game anytime soon due to priority reasons. Admittingly, I feel like that's going to affect very few people anyways. Because of what I just said, I feel like people do not watch Dead by Daylight for competitive reasons. With the FOV slider coming, what will happen with Shadowborn? It's being given a new functionality. I can't spoil it for you, but we hope you will like it. I'm so sorry for this, Mike. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. My question is, do you have any plans to combat survivors killing themselves on first hook deliberately? This is currently, and always has been, a big issue in solo queue, and seems to be happening more and more frequently. Bots take over disconnected players, while not perfect, is a very welcome change, I agree, but players do not want a disconnection penalty, and will just kill themselves on hook, which voids the bot system completely. I understand the penalty is also necessary, and that it's a hard situation to tackle. There are two solutions to this. One, you get rid of the disconnection penalty, or at least limit it. Let people disconnect for the first 3 matches of a day. If it's limited, people will think before saying, I don't want to play this, and moving on to the next game. The other solution is to not let people purposefully kill themselves on hook. No matter what happens, if you do things that make people... If you try to keep people in a game that they do not want to play, they will not want to play it. And that sounds like very common sense, but what I mean is, if I was forced to stay in a game because I could not hook murder myself, then I would not be playing the game at all. I wish I had more to say on this topic, but we have no plans for this. We hear your concern and recognize the frustration, but we just don't have any reasonable solutions. Sad but true. Very sad but true. Very sad, very true. Can we get specifics on the changes for Save the Best for Last? It's one of those perks I feel don't need a lot of adjusting, as it only really helps M1 killers, rather than the high-tier killers like Nurse or Blight. Ooh, I wish I could spill the beans all over the place, but I am strictly forbidden! The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. What I can say is that we've been pretty cautious with this perk, and the changes are not dramatic. Thanks, Mike. Can you provide clarity about the infamous black bubble which appears over props like gens and hooks? This black bubble temporarily obstructs aura reading from perks like Kindred and Bitter Murmur. Both perks lose immediate value until the sphere overlay dissipates. Since its introduction, the community has received conflicting responses about this intended or unintended behavior. Infamous indeed! What a good start. Though it has some disliked interplay with props and auras, the black bubble serves a purpose as it stands, and we have no current plans to address it directly, but I can tell you that we recently greenlit a rework to our aura systems that we are planning to move forward with sometime soonish. Famous last words, haha. It won't change the black bubble, but it should make auras better. Is it going to make the auras readable even if they're in the black bubble? Or will the auras override the black bubble and the generator or the hook icon? They serve literally no purpose. They serve literally no purpose unless you are blind at the time. Which I can say right now, I did have a match of Survivor where I was suffering from the third seal, I think it was called. And I could not find the hex for that fucking anywhere. And it is because of the black bubble that I was able to rescue anyone. So it does have a purpose. But other than that one very specific thing, it's just an annoyance. That is even more reason as to why you should give prestige awards. Prestige is something players can always attain year-round. It's an achievable... Is there something I'm missing? No. It's an achievable goal attainable from just playing the game. We appreciate players' passion with regards to prestige awards. No promises, but we'll kick off the discussion internally to see if something is achievable. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. Amazon Prime skins, will those come back? They will be added to the store after a designated period of time. Thank you. The new banner and badge system is perfect for this type of reward. Incremental rewards for different prestige levels and achievements or challenges, with the benefit of showing them off in post-game lobbies, which is what most players actually want from rewards. Yes, I agree with that. I think getting killers up to a certain prestige, like maybe 10, 30, 50, 100 and whatnot, should give you a badge. And it should star that killer. That's just me thinking off the top of my head. We hear you. It's why we do discussions like this, so we get direct feedback. Thank you for keeping it constructive. Thanks for answering the question with a non-answer, I guess. Boon, Scourge, and Teamwork perks were all added as a unique type of perk, but then abruptly stopped, seeing new additions shortly after. Do you have any plans to revitalize these to be as recurring common as Hex and Exhaust perks? Yeah, all of them. Guys, we have a new game mechanic. It's called Boon Perks. Gonna stop putting them in after it's the second update. We don't need more Scourge Hook perks only because Scourge Hook's perks are just fucking random. And they're usually not worth running anyways. Anyways, I agree that our perk types are pretty interesting and should see some new action. But I can't promise anything. The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. With the return of Stranger Things, many useful perks have now disappeared from the pool of common perks for both sides. With Jolt being gone, killers no longer have regression perks if they don't buy or unlock new characters. Are there any plans to rework or improve the current pool of common perks to make it more useful and accessible for beginners? Again, a very good question. This is something we were discussing in the live design meeting yesterday. Right now, we have no immediate plans to introduce new general perks. New killers are also up against new survivors, so gen regression perks are not necessarily needed at this level when players are learning to play the game. Okay, we have to talk about this. Okay? The number of general survivor perks versus the number of general killer perks and which ones are useful and which ones are not is very unbalanced. Now that there is no jolt, killers don't have anything to help with regressing gens, and as situational as jolt is, it is still more useful than nothing. Meanwhile, actually, let's go over the general perks real quick. Let's go over the general perks for both sides. Dark Sense. Every time a generator is completed, the aura of the killer is revealed for 10 seconds. As soon as they come within 24 meters of your location, after which Dark Sense deactivates. So that's just, the killer gets near you, you know which direction to not go. Deja Vu. The aura of the 3 generators currently in closest proximity to one another are revealed to you at all times. Increases repair speed on those generators by 6%. If you are holding a map, all generators revealed by Deja Vu are automatically added to it. So, that's a gen repair. Let's just say 1 gen repair right now. Hope grants a permanent haste status effect once the exit gates are powered. Kindred. If you see the aura around anybody who is on hook. If the killer is within close proximity of somebody on hook, then the killer is revealed to the survivor via their aura. If that person is on hook, everybody else gets this ability instead. A very excellent beginner perk. Lightweight. Reduces the duration of scratch marks by 5 seconds. Scratch marks are spaced inconsistently. Nobody uses lightweight. No one left behind. Once the exit gates are powered, unhooking and healing speed is increased. Blood points gained from altruism is increased. Unhooked survivor gains a 7% haste for 10 seconds. And all survivors are revealed to you. It's an endgame perk, so it's not particularly useful. But can come in clutch. Plunderer's Instinct. You just literally see chests. You see chests and you're more likely to find better items, which is surprisingly not useful because you're more likely to not get a medkit or a toolbox, which are just useful in more situations. Premonition. Receive an auditory warning upon looking in the killer's direction for within 36 meters. This is good against Chucky? I don't know. That needs to change, first off. Resilience. Increases action speed for repairing, healing, sabotaging, unhooking, vaulting, cleansing, blessing, opening, and unlocking by 9% while injured. There are going to be very few games where you are not injured, and there are going to be even fewer of those that are not AFK killer games. Slippery Meat. You grant 3 additional self-unhook attempts and are 4% more likely to unhook yourself, which is basically double the chance. There are better perks, but it's not bad for general. Small Game. Receive an auditory warning when you see a totem within 12 meters in a 45-degree cone. Decreased by 5 degrees for each token you have, down to a minimum of 20. Basically, it tells you how many totems are in the game yet, and alerts you if you see one. Spine Chill. Increases... Like when the killer is within 36 meters and is looking at you with clear line of sight, your repairing, healing, sabotaging, unhooking, cleansing, blessing, opening, and unlocking speed is increased by 6%. This effect lingers 0.5 seconds after the killer loses sight of you or exits range. Not particularly useful, but not the worst. This is not happening. Increases success zone of great skill checks while repairing and healing by 10 was like by 30% while injured. It's fine for very specific builds. Will make it. Increases your altruistic healing speed by 100% for 90 seconds when you rescue another survivor from a hook. This is just useful. Instead of taking 16 seconds, you take 8 seconds to heal another survivor if you recently rescued somebody. Now, killer perks. Bitter Murmur. Each time a generator is completed, the auras of all survivors within 16 meters of that generator are revealed for 5 seconds. Once the last generator is completed, the aura of all survivors are revealed for 10 seconds, which it's okay. Deerstalker. The auras of dying survivors within 36 meters are revealed. Pretty worthless. Distressing. Increases your terror radius. Grants blood points for deviousness. Meme perk. There are some characters that can use it. The Doctor and Legion. But for the most part, nobody should be touching Distressing. No one escapes death. Once all the exit gates are powered, you move faster and immediately down people upon hitting them. It goes without saying that is very useful, especially for new players. It's also a bit of a crutch because now new players rely on that. Sadly, there are much better perks to use. Thrill of the Hunt. The false hope that... For each totem remaining in the environment, Thrill of the Hunt gains 1 token. For each token, all survivors suffer 10% action speed penalty to cleansing and blessing of totems up to 50%. Gain 10% bonus blood points for actions in the Hunter category for each token that you have. Not particularly useful. Insidious. You can't be detected if you stand still. It's a meme perk. It's the meme perk. Iron Grasp. The strength of the wiggle effect causing involuntary strafing is reduced by 75%. Maximum wiggle duration increased by 12%. Basically, it causes survivors to take longer to get free once you pick them up. It's borderline useless. Unless you are doing very specific things, it's borderline useless. Monstrous Shrine. The basement hooks are now scourge hooks. Whenever a survivor is hooked on any scourge hook, their sacrifice process is increased by 20%, as long as you are 24 meters away from them. This is worthless. It's just not worth running. There are significantly better perks you could be running. There are better Scourge Hook perks you could be running. Shattered Hope. You destroy boon totems instead of snuffing them. Destroying a boon totem reveals the aura of all survivors within its range for 8 seconds. This is worthless. If survivors bring no boons, it's a wasted perk slot. Slappy Butcher is about to be nerfed. So this is to be ignored for the most part, but it's also really fucking strong. Wounds inflicted by basic attacks cause survivors to suffer hemorrhage and mangled. The bleeding frequency of survivors is doubled. The regression rate from partial healing progress is lost from hemorrhage by 25%. Those are both status effects, I guess. Yeah, that is very useful, but that's not going to be a thing for forever, I guess. Spies from the Shadows. Whenever you are within 36 meters of a crow that was startled by a nearby survivor, you are alerted with a loud noise notification. 5-second cooldown. It's useful indoors and nowhere else. You should be looking up in the sky if you're not doing anything and trying to see if you can find crows that are flying around, because that means a survivor is in that area. Unrelenting. Reduces the cooldown and missed basic attacks by 30%. This is worthless. It sounds good on paper, but it's worthless. And whispers. Whenever a survivor is within 32 meters of your location, you hear whispers of the entity. It also, it lights up. This is another worthless one, but very specific characters like the Doctor can put it to good use. So yeah, those are all the general perks. Notice how many killer perks I said were useless in comparison to survivor perks. But none of that needs to change. Apparently. We don't need new general perks, we just need killer perks to be better. I don't know what to say to that. It feels like there is fucking nothing you can do with this. As it currently stands, a lot of information in the game is obscured from killers. Notably, killers are unable to see the hook stages on survivors. Many players argue this is necessary to discourage the killer from tunneling. But others like myself believe killers will choose who to tunnel and will do so anyway without needing a reminder. There are many other instances of hidden information, like the plague's infection progress, the pig's RBT timer. I call it the CBT timer. Are there any considerations to revealing this kind of important information for killers, even if it comes at the cost of a compensation nerf? It's true Tunnel's gonna tunnel, but it's also a killer strategy we don't want to support. Currently, we have no plans to reveal this information. Here's the thing. A killer who is actively tunneling one person out of the game, does not need a reminder. They don't need a reminder that the person that they're tunneling is still going to be the person that they're tunneling. Unless the person that they're going after looks exactly the same as somebody else, there is, like, no reason that they will go after anybody else. And even then, once they see that the person that they're chasing is not the person that's being revealed as being who they were tunneled, they're just going to abandon that anyways and look for whoever they were after in the first place. This is not a good answer. Now, there are certain things I will say are worth considering. The hidden information, like the plague's infection progress and the pig's timer, I think that's fine. I think not being able to see how infected somebody is as the plague does not matter. Not being able to see how infected somebody is as the mastermind does not matter. That most of the time, that's actually just something that the killer does not need. And if they did have it, I feel that it might make them slightly stronger in unfun ways. Because the person that you just tunneled is 20% closer to being fully infected than... I mean, not the person who just came off of Hook... the person who just came off of Hook is 20% closer to being infected than the other guy who's not even bothered to protect him. Well, if you're Wesker, chances are you're going to go after the fully infected person. The soon-to-be fully infected person. Maybe I'm just wrong on that. I don't know. With the ability to earn blood points through completing challenges in the tome, has there been ideas of doing career challenges? Like complete 100 generator repairs, hook 150 survivors, etc. We thought of something similar, but not exactly a lifetime achievement. The proposal we're going with is more to complete harder missions to upgrade an outfit, but we'll consider... Last one for the day! The Dead by Daylight team is aware that this is an issue, and is currently working on a fix for it, but we don't have any concrete details as of this time. So this has been, we have no concrete details, the FAQ. Very cool. There was some useful information, but there was more we don't know or we can't reveal it. Very pleased with all of these answers. Well, I'm happy someone was. Worst questions ever. 90% of these questions and answers are pointless and you'll learn nothing new out of them. I don't agree with that. There are some questions which was just dick sucking, but I don't agree that it was 90% of them. This AMA is a joke. What are these answers? Why are these the questions they answer? This AMA leads to nowhere land. Black Bubble. It's disappointing how many of these questions are ill-suited to an Ask Me Anything format. How many of them are just, when will you add or change this, or will you consider this? I mean, it's a fair question. It's a fair question to ask. Yeah, the DBD forums are kind of a joke anyways. Yeah, this took more time than I wanted it to, but it's fine. It's fine. Well, until next time, later.